and welcome to Journey Intelligence Weekly, your briefing on the latest news and trends in the world of AI. I'm Jordan Roberts, here with Mark Pizzoli. We're both from Journey Alliance, the proud sponsors of this series. Thank you for joining us. And before we get started, we would like this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat so we can incorporate them as we go. And if at any point you're curious about how AI might be able to apply for you in your role, you can scan the QR code there in the corner and it will take you to our website to learn more about our AI training. We're going to jump into some news of this past week, but before we do that, we were out last week due to a Google Cloud outage. So it impacted the streaming platform that we use and a few other apps you might have noticed. So we'll be hitting on some things that happened last week, but we still think are relevant. We're going to start with, though, a prompt tip. So if you use AI to write your content, you'll notice that it is a really huge fan of dashes. Everyone's posted about it on LinkedIn probably at least once. So the new M dash really is negation. It's not just this, it's that. An argument that no one was making, doesn't need to be made, and it's a dead giveaway of AI writing. A good way to get it to stop doing this is to tell it what to do before you tell it what not to do. So something like write with authority and clear sentences. And if you're making an argument, provide supporting facts instead of negating the opposing side. And that'll help kind of get it to quit doing that so that you don't sound like you're just AI copy paste. And anything to add to that, Mark?
No, there's always going to be the thing that's the hot button, right? So for the long time, it was like, oh, there's an M dash, and now you can't use an M dash in your writing. It's actually a really effective piece of punctuation that none of us use anymore because we don't want our writing to look like it was AI generated. But now it's going to be these little stylistic choices that we make that you then can't use, right? Like, what if I want to use negate? So it'll be interesting to see how this continues to evolve. But people are going to continuously try to figure out how, what content is real and what is AI generated. I think we have some interesting times ahead, to say the least, because it's getting a lot harder to tell. So
yeah, definitely. Fun fact for our viewers, when I told Mark that the M dash was a dead giveaway for AI writing, he was like, is that a typo? What's an M dash?
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was.
Well, speaking of outages, so ChatGPT had an outage on, I think it was June 10th.
Okay.
I don't know. There was an outage. You probably know, our viewers, because you'll remember everybody talking about it. That outage was a part due to O3 Pro rolling out. And O3 Pro is a reason longer. So it's heavy focus on deeper reasoning and has fewer major errors.
Yeah.
It is super slow, though.
Yeah, just make sure you need a meal soon.
Like leave the house and go get coffee. Slow. It is so slow.
Yeah. I mean, every time there's a ChatGPT outage in recent memory has been because they appear to be kind of slicing up their architecture or their infrastructure, right, to make room for some new model. You think about it, they have, I don't know, I imagine they're trying to figure out what percentage of GPUs get allocated to which models. So they were down for quite a few hours, and then the next day, O3 Pro arrived. So not too surprising.
And I think we can. Yeah, I think we can expect another outage sometime this summer, although we don't have an exact date. Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, revealed plans to simplify OpenAI's fragmented model lineup. So right now they have 4.0, O3 Pro, O3 Mini, O4 Mini. They're going to be combined into one GPT-5 so that you can handle everything from quick chats to deep reasoning, agent-style workflows, and deep research. So they're really just looking to simplify things for you the way that it was when ChatGPT first started, and just make it kind of easier to figure out what works best for you.
Interesting. So basically what they're trying to do is get us back to a place where you just go to ChatGPT and you chat, and then they figure out which model based on the type of prompt. But I don't know, I kind of like being able to tell it which model to use. Like
Yeah, I do too. I
I know
prefer
I want a fast
O3.
response and when I'm willing to wait for it. So
Well, I will be honest, I don't think I'm willing to wait 30 minutes for it. And maybe that's,
yeah, maybe.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm so used to everything coming to me immediately when it comes to internet. But yeah.
Should be interesting to see though. So we were commenting on how slow O3 Pro is. I used it just yesterday. I gave it quite literally 300 pages of transcripts to pull out, and I give it a very long prompt. By the way, when you're using O3 Pro, you need to add a lot of context, like a lot of context. It works best when you're asking really complex, nuanced questions. So don't just ask it a simple little prompt. It's too much firepower for that. You're not going to get a better response. In fact, I think I got a worse response than I did off something I would have run in regular O3. But in this case, I ran a very long, detailed prompt, probably a page-long prompt on about 300 pages of voice transcripts. So somewhere around 9 hours of video, and it pulled out exactly what I needed. And it actually only took 5 minutes, which is not, I mean, it's not fast, but it was significantly faster than I was going to get it done. So I think there is, if you use it in the right situation, you'll happily wait the time needed to get what you're looking for. So
Yeah. I mean, hearing that, I'll be honest, I haven't tried it yet. Because when you said 30 minutes, I was like, I'm not going to wait.
lots of patience there, huh?
No, well, I would forget about it. And then, 3 days later, I'd be like, oh yeah, I asked it for that.
Interestingly, totally off topic, but if you have ChatGPT installed on your mobile device, at least on my Apple device, I actually get one of those little pop-up notifications that has a timer on it, and it tells me when it's done with the prompt. Even if I started the prompt on my computer, it still comes up on my mobile device. So to your point of like forgetting about it, like I got a notification on my phone when it was done answering the prompt, because it knows you had to wait long enough that you might have moved on to something else. So
that's cool.
So interesting information coming out of some polls this week, which I don't know. It's contrary to what we saw a few weeks ago. Like a few weeks ago, we reported on a different poll that came out like only 4% of U.S. adults reported using AI, regularly. Keep in mind, polling has a lot to do with who you poll, like the selected group of users, and what you ask them. So these polls that I'm looking at from this week, one's from Gallup and the other one's from IBM Global AI, the IBM Global AI Adoption Index. So the Gallup poll shows about 40% of U.S. employees are now using AI at least a few times a year. Pretty low threshold, pretty low bar to get over. But that's twice what it was 2 years ago. So moving fairly quickly within that, just average employees, right? Employees of all types. The interesting thing is the cadence was up across, the usage was up across all different cadences. So when you ask them about weekly versus monthly versus annually, like weekly is up from 11% to 19%. So daily was up from 4 to 8. So this does align with like use it regularly, if you will, because that was 4%, and maybe daily is regularly to some people. The other interesting facts out of this, so white collar roles up at like 27% frequent use, right? And the highest upswings are in tech, professional services, finance, nothing shocking there. In the poll, workers are 3 times likelier to feel prepared when leadership communicates an AI vision. Literally, just tell them what you're planning on doing. It's not that hard. So as with everything, communication really is key. And Gallup pointed out that now with this new poll, they're of the opinion that unclear guidance, instead of what it was before, was skepticism. So unclear guidance is now the biggest break on adoption. So before it was just your employees being skeptical. Now it's not telling them like what the plan is. So make sure that you are communicating well. So IBM had something similar if you have a formal AI strategy, that lifts success of your AI projects from 37% to 80%, right? So these are huge lifts in like project success ratios. So good communication, solid strategies definitely are helping with AI adoption in a lot of businesses.
Yeah. How is AI adoption in companies? So that's like at the individual level. What is it like for companies?
So I saw something in here. I don't know that I have anything. Oh, something like, well, IBM has it at 42% of enterprises. So IBM likely is thinking of enterprises as your Fortune 5,000, Fortune 1,000 type companies. That's their market. So 42% of enterprises have AI in production. Most of these companies are fairly slow moving. So that's not shocking. Another 40% are only experimenting, which makes you wonder what the other 18% are doing, right? Like they're literally doing nothing, which is a little startling. But we're definitely seeing movement there. I don't know what those numbers used to be, though. I imagine they're moving fairly quickly.
Well, I think that's interesting. If those larger companies are only at, 40% are still experimenting, we don't know what the other 18% is doing. There's an opportunity to get ahead there.
Still, yeah.
To be the ones that are experimenting and having your team, experiment with it, especially for smaller businesses.
Yeah, and let's be candid. Like if we talk about companies that are using it in production, like okay, so they have one project, like these enterprises have thousands of opportunities to use AI. Like, and all this is are they using it in production? Like, so it's a poll of workers. So are the workers aware they're using it in production? And then like, so they don't have to be like, it's a pretty low bar to get over. Like there's so much still to be gained with AI adoption within businesses. It's really figuring out the right places to use it where you're actually going to generate an ROI, right? And that seems to be the number one thing that's holding back AI projects, right? Is C-suites are just saying, look, there's no clear ROI. Like, and so again, the people that IBM's polling, these are people responsible for multi-million-dollar departments, $100 million, billion-dollar departments, like saying, I'm not going to go spend $50 million on something until I know that it's going to have a payback. So, so I think that's, that's what is challenging right now, is establishing what are we going to, like, what's this spend going to get us, right? So it's the market is still continues to move very quickly though. So I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. Like it's only been like 3 years, and there's a whole new technology that we're talking about at 40% adoption, and like we've never seen anything like that before. So
yeah, that is the crazy part. For those of you who are just joining us and maybe missed the intro, if you scan that QR code in the corner there, it will take you to our website where you can learn more about how to adopt AI with your team. Since we're on the subject of AI adoption in companies, I think it's fitting to mention that.
So I think another interesting thing that happened this week kind of shows the industry moving forward. OpenAI won their first defense contract. So the most remarkable thing here is not that the government's using AI, because the government's been using AI in a variety of ways for quite a while. It's more that the government, right, is using, instead of using bespoke AI, right, like really customized AI for a very specific purpose, they're looking at a commercial partnership with OpenAI. That's right. That's that's the equivalent of going to Microsoft for email, right? Like that's kind of, this is not go like solve this one problem. They're looking at like, how do we, this is, I mean, 200 million is a lot of money, but like to the government, it's not, it's a drop in the bucket. So this is them dipping the toe in the water. It's part of this big OpenAI for government. It's a new public sector initiative, right? So, so they're using it in a few different areas. I think their focus areas are program data analysis, acquisition workflows, and proactive cyber defense, where they think it can really have the most impact. And the interesting thing is OpenAI did get extracted, a compromise, at least, that it can't be used in any weapon systems. So And you wonder if they did that because companies in the past have like stubbed their toe by getting involved with government stuff and working with the DoD. And then their employees actually have gotten really frustrated by that and not wanted to see that happen. So in this case, we'll see if there's any backlash, but I imagine there won't be. It'll probably be relatively minor.
Yeah. Do you know, I know you mentioned some of the things. So cyber defense, so cybersecurity, preventing breaches and things of that nature.
Making sure systems are patched. We talked a few weeks ago about AI finding the first time AI found a weakness in Linux, in the kernel of Linux, on its own, completely unguided. Things like that, I imagine, are where they're going to be looking. If it's with OpenAI, so it's Gen AI type stuff. So Gen AI actually has the ability to act as a white hat hacker, if you will, and like try to find ways it can abuse a system and then report back what it's finding. So I imagine it could be things like that. The government's got millions of computers they have to constantly stay on top of.
Oh yeah.
So none of this is going to be on high security areas, right? They're just trying to get an understanding. The contractor on the government side is the Pentagon. It's the Chief Digital and AI Office, and they're always the ones kind of at the cutting edge of like what the technology the government's using. So this is super early, them just trying to get an understanding of how they might use AI in the future. So, and it's only a 1-year deal too. So, I mean, it's really, that's a picture. It's a small deal.
Yeah, that is a pretty small deal comparatively to how some of these government contracts.
Although I'll take $100 million.
Right. If they wanted to, let's design something real quick that the government will want like that. So there have been some updates in AI video, and most recently, Google released Veo 3, which we had talked about in a past episode. And if you haven't checked out what Veo 3 can do, you should. It's actually kind of scary how realistic it looks. But there have been some advancements in other places, Mark, that I think you had an update on.
So Veo 3's been out, 4 weeks? I think I'm not even sure if it's been 4. It might be 3.
I'm not even sure it's been 4 either. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's phenomenal. So Veo 3, right? It's Veo 3, not free, right? And it's definitely not a free service. It's pretty processor intensive, but it'll produce 8-second videos that you would not believe, like really phenomenal videos. Well, it's been out a few weeks, and MIT and ByteDance both released competing models this week that can outscore it on what's called the VBench charts, which is just how they're rating video generation. So like if it just, to me, it just means that the entire video marketplace is heating up, right? Like this is the next place where AI really is going to make an impact. I think this is really scary for a lot of people. Like, I mean, if you can produce lifelike video at scale in short periods of time, like I think of my parents, right? We all think about the older generation, like they're so susceptible to scams in a general sense. Like when you start to factor in like real life video, I just don't know. I just don't see how they stand a chance. Like it seems really unfair.
Well, I mean, before we started recording here, I was telling Mark about this TikTok I saw. It was this newscaster. She came on and she said, Canada has declared war on the US. And it looked real. For a second, I was like, why would that have happened? And then the very next, it flipped to a woman standing in front of a building. And she said, I'm a real newscaster in Australia. And that video clip was AI. But you couldn't tell, could you?
Right.
So yeah, pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
And speaking of AI video, so Adobe has expanded access to Firefly, which is their version of creating AI video, so that you can now access it on mobile, making it even more easy for you to add that if you use Adobe Suite to create the creative for your advertising campaigns and things of that nature. Additionally, speaking of TikTok, they are moving to have AI-powered video generators for their ads. So in a similar move to what Meta's done, where Meta is talking about completely automating their ads using AI, TikTok will be doing that for theirs as well. And that should make it easier and cheaper to produce ads for small businesses. And it also allows you to rapidly do some A/B testing with ideas.
Awesome. Does this mean I get more ads? I'm so excited. More ads.
Are you on TikTok? Because it's already all ads.
I need more ads. I can't get enough ads.
Yeah, I love ads. TikTok shop.
Yeah. On the plus side of all of this, some interesting developments out of China, right? So they have a company that's a competitor of Neuralink. Those of you familiar or not familiar with Neuralink, Neuralink is Elon Musk's company that is working to integrate basically electronics and humans. There's no other way to say it, right? It's brain implants that can actually communicate with your brain, that you can use your brain to control computers, right? They have been making progress. Well, out of China this past week, they implanted a coin-sized computer interface, right, into a quadruple amputee, and within 3 weeks, he was playing racing games on a computer. Now, Neuralink has had success, but they haven't had success in 3 weeks. Like, it's really remarkable how quickly the improvements in all different areas are piling on top of each other. So it's I mean, regardless of how you think of this, we can get into all the, the Matrix or, all the other movies that have touched on this. It's pretty interesting where all this advancement is headed. I can tell you in my own personal experience, my dad is hard of hearing, and my dad has a hearing implant, and it has really had a material impact on his quality of life. I can have a phone conversation with my dad after 10 years of not being able to. So, so I mean, like that's what's coming, right? People that are amputees, or all these different situations, right? Like the possibilities of them having bionics, real bionics that they can control and that work are within reach. So this particular company is saying they're looking at commercial launch in 2028. Lots of regulatory stuff that has to happen between now and then, but 2028 is around the corner, right? So this is it's pretty interesting. And then who knows what Neuralink will respond with? Who knows who else gets involved, right? There's just a lot of possibilities here, so it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, as someone who I approach AI with a little bit of caution, some of the things that come out, that they kind of alarm me, but that's the reality of it, is that that's such a positive thing for us, for humanity as a whole.
Yeah.
So really good stuff to see.
Now, when you can learn jujitsu in 10 seconds, like they could in the Matrix, like that seems pretty awesome. I think we're a long ways from that, but like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, like osmosis. Yeah.
Point out. So interesting, all these advancements, and then I've got a story here that's just like someone that really normally is not thought of this way, but like Apple's reboot of Siri slipped. It was supposed to be out this year, and now they're saying it's like spring 26. That's a year from now. I mean, like a year from now, like if they're planning for a year from now, the rest of us will be using AI technology that hasn't even been invented yet, and Apple's like still trying to pull together. I am a big Apple fan. I got to be honest, and this is like they're really struggling here. I think their historic strategy of not being first mover, of waiting until something's completely baked before they release it on the phones has really put them in a bad spot here, because it's looking like they're going to be 2 years behind the rest of the market before they have something meaningful included in iPhones, and that's going to feel like a lifetime. Like who knows how many users are going to lose in those 2 years to other phones that have better integrated AI in their phones.
Yeah, well, I think interestingly, the point of data that you used earlier with Gallup on the individual adoption, I honestly think Apple might be okay given the brand equity that they have. Like you just said, you love Apple. The people who have Apple, they love it.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Apple's going away. I'm not a doomsayer. but
Yeah.
like this feels like a pretty big miss for them, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
they've marketed themselves into a tough spot in that information doesn't leave your phone, right? So they have to be able to do what ChatGPT can do in the cloud on your device, and that's a big ask. So I can appreciate that they've put themselves in a really challenging spot, but simultaneously, they need to respond. And they hopefully when they do launch it, it's as amazing as other things they've launched in the past. And it's and it's why they waited. But we'll have to see. So
yeah. Stacy made a good point. Her 7-year-old and 71-year-old parents are using it. She doesn't see Siri being around in the future. I would agree, because we use ChatGPT and we talk to it.
Yeah, I do the same. I have it on my phone,
Yeah.
and I will tell my Siri to ask Chat, which you can do. You can tell Siri to ask ChatGPT something, and it does, and it's helpful. So
yeah.
So as we kind of come to the closing part of our half hour here, we want to give another tip. So I saw this one. This came out of a newsletter I get called I forget, Super something, and the name slips my mind. Superhuman. Thank you so much. And I think it's a really good tip in some cases, right? And the tip is that you can have ChatGPT number its output. And you can do that by basically giving it a prompt. You can do this to a project. So I set a project that's, that is, and this is in the project instructions. And it just says, please number your output sections using Cornell style numbering. Cornell, like the university, style numbering. So I can refer to specific parts of your responses. And then I gave it an example. Example 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, ... 4.1, ... right? Please increment the main number for each prompt I submit. So in essence, I'm telling it when I submit a prompt, every paragraph, the first time I ask is going to be 1.1, 1.2, like so on and so forth. So I can refer back to a paragraph as, hey, can you go combine paragraph 1.5 with paragraph 2.7? This is really helpful if you're having a long conversation and you want to refer to something that happened 3, 4, 5, 6 prompts ago. It's very difficult to do without numbering something or without repeating the paragraph or copy pasting the whole thing. So I think this is a really interesting idea. In some situations, it can be really helpful if you're using a lot of wordy output.
Yeah, I definitely need to try that. I ask it stuff where it's giving me the longest answers ever, and then trying to refer back to it is pretty difficult. And I never would have thought.
Almost impossible. You're better off copy pasting most times.
Yeah, which is what I do. So definitely much simpler to just be like reference 1.1.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week, and we will be back here next week, barring any Google Cloud outages. But if you are curious about applying AI in your role at work, you can scan the QR code in the corner or visit journey-alliance.com and view our AI tab, and that will give you more information on that. And as always, we will be back here next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.